Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are immersing ourselves in a topic that's, well, it's dominated strategy meetings for years,
Mhm.
digital transformation or DT,
Right.
but we aren't just looking at the tech stack, we're applying that whole transformative concept directly to the people who make a business run the employee experience, or
Which
EX.
is where it really matters.
Exactly. I mean, DT is so much more than just an expensive software update. It promises these fundamental advantages for staff, but the specifics, they often get lost in buzzwords.
Mm.
So our mission today is to, cut through that noise. We've compiled the key advantages from the research you share to figure out what digital transformation must achieve for your workforce if it's going to be worth it.
And that investment is significant, which is why I think we have to start by defining what we're really talking about here.
Hmm.
The materials we looked at make it very clear. Digital transformation is, at its core, a cultural change.
A cultural change, not a tech one.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about adopting digital innovation across all areas of the business, from the front line all the way to internal services. It really forces leadership to completely rethink how work gets done.
And we have to talk about the speed of this shift.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
While DT was always kind of inevitable, the events of 2020 they pushed organizations off a cliff. They went from planning this gradual multi-year thing to, well, needing fully digital operations overnight.
Secure, compliant, the whole package.
The whole thing. So this acceleration has made understanding these benefits less about getting an edge and more about, frankly, survival.
Yeah.
If your business isn't prioritizing digital EX right now, you're already behind.
Okay, let's unpack that cultural shift then, starting with the most immediate impact. The first massive benefit is improving communication and interaction. The modern employee, and that's you listening, you're already hyper-connected in your personal life. You've got tools for social networks, finance, calendars. You just expect that same effortless connectivity at work, especially if you're hybrid or remote.
And the tools facilitate this by changing the very nature of communication. We're moving away from these siloed email chains.
Which everyone hates.
Right. And we're moving toward asynchronous collaboration. Think about modern project management platforms or CRMs. They don't just track tasks. They instantly give you context.
So instead of another meeting.
Exactly. Instead of setting up 3 meetings just to get caught up, you can see the latest status, the right documents, who's responsible, instantly.
That speed and clarity is critical, but I do have to ask, does making communication effortless also mean it just increases the noise? That's a skeptical take we hear a lot.
That's a really fair challenge.
Mhm.
And the research implies that DT isn't just about more channels, it's about the right channels that actually filter the noise.
Oh, okay.
When your systems are integrated, you spend less time hunting for information and more time, analyzing it. Which leads us directly to our next advantage, helping employees understand their goals.
A perfect transition.
Well, if communication is clear, goals have to be even clearer. Digital platforms are often built around systems like OKRs, objectives, and key results that clearly visualize what you're working toward.
Both for you and for the company as a whole.
Yes. And this moves the organization away from these vague annual reviews and toward continuous data-driven alignment.
So it's about a new level of transparency that just wasn't possible before. It lets people see how their daily tasks are actually relevant. What's the strategic payoff there?
The payoff is focus and effectiveness. When you know exactly how your work contributes to a team milestone, you become more efficient. And for management, this provides a really powerful statistical approach to growth.
So you're tracking KPIs.
You're tracking KPIs for both the business and for the individual, which transforms performance reviews from these, subjective chats into objective discussions about measurable impact.
That transition from subjective feelings to objective data is a natural segue into our next segment. We've covered what the individual gets. Now, what does the organization gain from all this data?
It gains a healthier culture.
Which brings us to our third benefit, supporting, and this is crucial, a two-way feedback culture.
So not just top-down.
Not at all. Historically, feedback was slow, hierarchical, that classic annual review. DT just accelerates this. It makes feedback real-time and democratized.
That is so vital. I mean, no one wants to feel like just another cog in the machine. That feeling of not being heard is one of the quickest ways to just crush morale.
It absolutely is. Using dynamic feedback systems, project tools that let all employees comment and contribute, regardless of their rank, that fosters a flat, positive culture. We saw in the source materials that when people feel safe to give input, it actually reduces room for negativity.
Or even bullying, I'd imagine.
Bullying, yes. And that directly translates into major increases in team productivity.
And speaking of improving processes, let's hit on two of the biggest administrative headaches: onboarding and upskilling. They're often just so inefficient and manual.
Oh, a nightmare. Right. So the fourth major benefit is that DT simplifies these through automated software. And for you listening, let's look at the sheer scale of this improvement. The research gives some startling figures.
They're pretty incredible.
Digital solutions allow new hires to ramp up a massive 3 times quicker than old methods. And they can cut onboarding time by up to 60%. That isn't just an improvement, that's a total overhaul.
It's transformative for the new hire, and it's essential for retention. Because, why? Because the modern employee is looking for internal growth. Upskilling is key here.
They want a path forward.
They want a path forward. By offering accessible digital libraries, internal mentorship platforms, online courses, businesses provide clear ways for employees to improve and find new opportunities inside the company.
Right.
Think about the alternative. If an employee feels stuck, they leave. By contrast, businesses using these platforms, they become talent development engines. They keep their best people and save a ton of money on constant recruitment.
That brings us to what I think is the most human challenge of the last few years: hybrid work. This introduces our fifth benefit: supporting a true sense of belonging. All those informal connections, the water cooler conversations, they're gone, or at least they're much smaller. So companies have to intentionally build their culture online.
They really do.
And this can be tricky because it takes effort that goes beyond just operational tasks. We saw examples of companies doing online social hours, virtual coffee breaks, channels just for non-work chat. It's about fighting isolation. It's about well-being. But leadership has to lean in.
It's the difference between forcing people to log into a system and making them want to interact in it. And if we connect that sense of community to performance, it leads us right to our sixth benefit: helping leaders recognize and reward employees.
Because the data is right there.
The same tools that track goals also provide rich data on who is performing and how.
And that real-time data allows for recognition that's immediate, public, and based on stats. We're seeing things like leaderboards, spotlight features on the intranet, and of course, bonuses tied directly to metrics.
And this is where we have to add a necessary nuance, which the research really stressed. While tracking is motivating, there is a risk of alienation.
You mean shaming people at the bottom of the leaderboard?
Exactly. Leaders have to avoid shaming low performers just through transparency. So the most effective systems, they track and reward both performance and effort.
Wait, how do you track effort digitally without it feeling like digital surveillance? Effort isn't always a number in a spreadsheet.
That's a critical question.
Yeah.
And the source material suggests it means looking at contributing factors, submitting projects on time, actively participating in team discussions, completing upskilling courses, things that show diligence.
Even if the final sales numbers for the quarter aren't there yet.
Precisely. It requires management to recognize that hard work doesn't always yield immediate trackable stats. The system has to be engineered for fairness, not just for the top 1%.
That brings us to our next segment, where we can zoom out and look at the sheer scope of the digital HR toolkit that makes all this possible. This isn't just one app, it's an entire ecosystem.
Integrated ecosystem, yeah.
Let's break these down into a few buckets. First, the bedrock functions, core HR systems. This is your automated new hire onboarding, a centralized HIS, that's your human resources information system, time off tracking, and offboarding.
And the key here is eliminating that decentralized data that just leads to chaos. When the HRIS is centralized, everyone, managers, employees, is operating from the same set of facts.
From benefits to PTO.
Exactly. Then the second bucket covers talent management. This is where it gets more specific. You have your Recruit ATS, the applicant tracking system, which declines hiring. You have performance review software for goal tracking and detailed time clock or shift planners.
And finally, the biggest bucket, the engagement and communication tools. These are all about fostering that culture we talked about.
Right.
So recognition and rewards platforms, quick surveys and polls, crisis communication tools, digital signage for people on site, and of course, the modern employee intranet.
And that word you used before, integrated, is key. None of this works in a vacuum. These systems have to talk to each other. The research says integration is non-negotiable. For instance, the HRIS needs to communicate with payroll systems.
Like ADP, Workday, SAP.
SEG, Paylocity, all the big ones.
Yeah.
So policy changes get applied automatically.
And for security, they need to connect with identity systems. We see seamless integration with things like single sign-on, SSO, through Okta, and deep connections with communication giants.
Office 365, Slack, Microsoft Teams.
It just proves that this isn't a single project. It's a required IT architecture now.
And lest anyone think this is just for the tech sector, we saw this transformation as universal. We are talking about critical applications in healthcare, manufacturing, construction, retail, hospitality.
Even the public sector.
Absolutely. If you have employees, DT applies to you.
So, summarizing this whole deep dive, the final takeaway seems clear. Digital transformation is the process where businesses actively find and fix the weak points in their employee experience.
Right, from manual onboarding to a lack of real communication.
The reality is that DT isn't optional anymore. And success means doing more than checking off a software list. It means turning the digital space into a functioning, inclusive environment.
An environment where people feel valued and are, all pushing in the same direction. That digitally native culture, that's the ultimate competitive advantage.
That cultural piece really is what separates a successful initiative from a failed one. And since the materials we looked at say that cultivating this digital culture takes real effort, we'll leave you with a provocative thought to consider. If you want to measure the success of a sense of belonging in your hybrid or remote workforce, what are the specific non-monetary metrics a company should track to genuinely assess it?
Beyond just retention rates, think about participation, the quality of contributions, internal mobility rates. Something to ponder as you log into your digital workplace tomorrow. Thank you for joining us for the deep dive.